This is what's going to be in today's episode, and we're going to talk about unloading today, but there will be a lot of risks to not overturn the truck while unloading today. So, just welcome to this episode. And as you can see in the picture, there's about unloading. When I'm unloading and start with opening the side of the truck, I open it all the way. And that's because there is always sawdust and materials still on the edge of the side. So this fall down and I don't have to clean afterwards. That's one of the reasons. But there's also a security aspect of this. Because when we're unloading, there's different from materials. Some materials just drops a little all the time, and then you don't really have to open all the way. But some materials binds together very much. So when unloading, you can unload, but nothing comes out, but suddenly everything comes out. So, for example, bark. Some people just open the side a little, and it's a big risk that the bark will slam into the side that is half open. And the big risk with this is that the side, the metal frame on the side could be destroyed. So you have to go to the workshop to get it straight again. It could be bent, so you cannot close it properly. But that's why if I open the side every time, I don't have to think if I have bark or some other materials, because if you open the side all the way sometimes and open half with some loads, it's a very big risk to make a mistake, to forget to open all the way, only because you're having some specific materials that load. It's a very common mistake people do this, to slam the bark on the side of the truck. It takes a little bit time to open the side. It's not very fast to open. So you save some time to open just half, but we don't have to be this stressed. It doesn't take so many seconds to open it all the way. For me, I always open all the way, so I don't have to think about what kind of cargo I carry and what to expect when unloading. Also, when unloading, it's super important, very, very important to have your eyes on the hydraulics. It's very tempting to look at the cell phone to read some SMS or something else, but the big risk is that, for example, you take wrong button. You're thinking of opening the side, but press the tipping button instead, and not looking at the hydraulics, Because if you don't open the hatch, the side, but tipping first, you will flip over the truck immediately while standing still. You will overturn the truck while unloading. There is actually many people doing this mistake. But if you always look at the hydraulics and the functions while operating, you will see your mistake and can correct it before the accident happens. It's also a big risk when opening the top cover. For example, this truck, you can open the side and the top cover at the same time. Because if you press the side hatch to open, and the oil will flow also in the top cover, so you can do it at the same time. But it's a big risk if you don't see it. But if you... Because the risk could be that the hydraulic system could be hindered in some way. It could be that the top cover moves slowly and the side hatch moves faster, and then they could go together, and that's a big risk to destroy the construction. So if you do this, you always have to look at the construction when they are moving, so they don't crash together. It's very easy mistake if you're doing something else in the truck to not look. If you're not looking at the functions, it's very easy that you can do this mistake. In fact, I forgot to tell you about when the bark could hit the side hatch. There is also a risk that the truck could overturn if the bark hit the side of the side hatch and pull the trailer to overturn. I don't know about the truck, but the trailer I know it's very possible to overturn if forgetting to open the hatch more than you need. If you're taking the wrong button on the truck, you can feel that it starts to lean over, but you never feel when the trailer starts to lean over, because when it comes over, it will be too late. And for myself, I done this mistake, but I never overturned the trailer, because I always see it because I'm looking at the construction before the accident happens. And this is always. You have to look at your constructions when you're doing whatever you do with the construction. If you're tipping or loading or whatever you do, you always have to look at the construction while operating. It's very important, because now I come to another aspect as well. Another risk is that hydraulic hoses burst. Then you can see directly that something is wrong, because you can see if the construction is doing something strange. You can see it. At first, there is a risk that you can destroy the construction, because it's going not straight up, but only one side, but also that it's not good to waste too much hydraulic oil. First, because of the environment, and because of that, you can take some material to collect the oil and recycle it. There is some special material you can use, but also like sawdust you can use to collect the wasted oil. But to avoid not wasting too much oil, the first is for environment, but second, we have a tank, hydraulic tank, and actually it's quite easy to empty the tank very fast if you don't see it immediately. But it depends on what hose is bursting. If a hose burst before the package, you empty the tank very fast. This hose comes directly from the pump, from the hydraulic pump, and you empty the tank very fast. So if you don't see it, you will empty the tank, and you will not have enough oil to continue driving, but have to drive and buy some oil. But if you see it immediately, you can change the hose that bursts, and then you can keep on driving, because you have a little extra oil in the tank, so it's not a problem. But the problem is you lose too much oil. That's why it's very important to look at the hydraulics when operating, so you can see immediately if there is a hose burst, so you can stop the flow fast. But actually there is a third reason as well. Maybe you have parked in a very bad position, especially if you're unloading in a unloading pit in industries. There could be metal bars in the roof, because when we're unloading, the side is very much over the truck, and it's very common that there is metal constructions we have to be aware of. So if you hit this kind of metal bar with your construction, if you see it while doing it, you can save a lot of, maybe you don't destroy so much. But if you notice when touching the construction, you don't destroy so much. But if you don't see it immediately, you will destroy both the truck and the construction, and maybe some very expensive gates or different constructions could be very expensive to destroy. So you save a lot of problems if you're looking at the construction while operating. At these places, often I go outside to look to see if the construction will operate freely, or if we can make a mark in the ground so we can see exactly when the truck is in the right position. So if you look at the construction while operating, you don't have to destroy more than necessary. Then it's this. While unloading on the ground, while unloading trailer, you're standing still, But what is very important is both unloading truck and trailer is to have manual gear in. Because if you're unloading the trailer, start to drive from the pile, and it suddenly starts to switch gear, you will be stuck in the pile. So that's why it's very important to have manual gear. Because if you have to start again, it's very often you don't you will get stuck in the pile. So always start with a manual gear while unloading. And it's even more important while unloading the truck, because if the truck started switching gear while unloading in the pile, you will get stuck immediately, because it will just start to spin. Then you have to go and get help from a wheel loader to get loose from the pile. But if you have manual, you just go out from the pile. It's not a problem. You always choose a low gear. If it's too high gear, you will have no power to go out from the pile. Because if you start to unload and notice that you need a lower gear, it's too late. Because you have the first little push from the pile. And if you're losing that start push from the pile, it could be very hard to go out from the pile. So choose the right gear from the start, that's the best. It's too late to choose gear when you're in the middle of unloading. We have very low gears at the trucks, crawling gears they are called. But the gear number 1 is of course no problem. But when unloading the truck, you're always driving, and the first gear is perfect. But if you want a shorter pile, you can choose a lower gear. So if you want a short pile, you want to empty as fast as possible, you put the lowest crawling gear in. You have crawling low and crawling high. You can choose the length of the pile with what gear you're choosing. So that's good to know. And when you have unloaded truck and trailer, you have to stop while a good spot to empty the wheel covers from waste dust. And often I park in front of the unloaded pile. And it's very important to empty the wheel covers so you not spread materials on the road. And you have to clean the cargo space as well. But in the summertime, if you are driving the same material again, you don't have to clean very perfect. But if you're loading another kind of cargo, you have to empty the cargo space very carefully. And we're using this scrape mounted on the truck. It's called pizza shovel, but it looks like a pizza shovel. But you use this, you open the cargo space all the way, and you just go there and scrape the waste, the leftovers from unloading. In winter time, there could be a lot of materials left on the cargo space because of freezing, and you have to clean very much. But in the winter time, when -degrees out, it's very important to clean, even though it's just a little leftovers in the cargo space, because during driving with cargo, there is warmth inside of the material, so it will not freeze all the way, but it will freeze along the edges. And what freezes is always what is left in the cargo space. And if you leave it there and driving empty for half an hour, it will be deep frozen, what is left overs in the cargo space. And the problem is that if you load more materials on there, it will build up and freezes even more. And it will be very hard in the end of the day, this what is freezing. So it will be almost impossible to clean if you save it there for long periods. You will have a lot easier cleaning if you do it after every unloading. I really recommend to clean after every cargo unloading in winter time, because you will save you a lot of energy and time if you do it every time instead of doing in the end of the day, and even maybe you can clean it actually, because it will get very stuck. Maybe you have ice on all the floor if you don't clean during the day. The walls is not as impossible. No, sorry, the walls are not as important, but the floor is very important to clean, because the floor is the big problem. But the walls, you only have to clean if you are not allowed to mix different cargos. You have to clean the walls as well. But if you're driving similar cargo, you can leave it on the wall. It's not a big problem, but the floor always clean. Yes, that's all for today's episode. I hope you have some interesting knowledge from this video. So, in 40 days we'll continue about how to drive a woodchip truck. But what you see now in the background is from what is coming next week. And that's sawdust cargo driving to a place. And this is when I'm unloading. And if you're looking very carefully now, you can see that I opened the side of the truck as well. Oh, why am I doing this? Is this a failure from me? Or is it a meaning that I'm going to do this? So please look at next time, you will see why I'm doing this. And also, this is from the next episode. You can see that we're inside of the wheel loader, so you will be I will be filming from the inside of the wheel loader, so you will be inside the wheel loader driving with me next episode.